straight to the tourists so they could have authentic Gullah and Geechee cuisines and knowledge.
Okay, so if I'm to understand this, we're saying that the need to migrate the recipes that mom, grandma, and the other family members used out there on Edisto Island,
Yes,
y'all,
sir.
one of the sea islands that we have in the low country. You decided that the best way to do that is to call the source, the originators, get the recipes, write the recipes down. Now, once you began to write the recipes, you decided, you know what? I think now it's time to share this goal. Is that a brief summation?
That's exactly how it happened.
Okay.
I had one book called A Slave Story on the Market, and I had several vendors on Market Street selling it. And one of the things the vendors would say to me is, well, you know, we need some cultural books that people from Charleston actually wrote. And they gave me the idea that, hey, you should go ahead and write a cookbook. So I decided to write this cookbook. I gathered together family members, and I really cherry-picked the family members to find out what recipe they made the best. So I really put the best of the best inside the book. And some of the recipes, you know, some of the family members wanted to keep it secret, but I convinced them to also include into the book because we want to stretch our culture out. Really, our culture started as early as 1690, and it continues on today.
Okay, so tell me, how did you go about publishing these recipes? There are a number of ways in which people publish. Some find a book company, a publisher, and publish it. Some also do self-publishing. What was your process to bring these recipes to the general public?
This right here is a self-published product. I did have a couple books that I work with publishers with. However, to have more flexibility, I found it's a lot easier to actually publish it yourself. They told me to give me like a marketing plan, and I realized that if I did this marketing plan, I could keep most of the profits. So I followed the marketing plan, and now, you know, I have the website, and I have several products on the website that deals with our culture and history. And like I said before, I just really want everyone to really grasp the history from someone who has the roots that's really Gullah. Because what my vendors were telling me is that, you know, a lot of books that they have, even on the market street, people from out of states wrote these books, and it's not even authentic. And one of the things that their customers were saying and asking them is this book really from someone in South Carolina? And a lot of times they would have to tell them, hey, no, this is something that was shipped in. So, you know, these books are doing very well on the market because it's authentic.
Okay, now let me see if I can follow this with my slow self here, because you know I'm from Johns Island, but I now live on James Island, and for the last 6 weeks I was out on Edisto Island, so I know a little bit about Indigo Hill Road out there on Edisto Island. You know where Indigo Hill Road is?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
My deceased mama used to be the executive director of the community center on Indigo Hill Road. So we had a summer camp for the last 6 weeks, but I digress as I usually do. So now here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you moved to Atlanta, you saw a need, you determined how to satisfy that need. Then you saw that need produced the necessity to create a business. In the creation and the formulation of the business, you realize that now I need to publish this so that others will have the ability to take advantage of this good Southern Gullah cooking from Edisto Island. Now, you had a number of options. In business, we tend to say you have two options. You either make or buy. Make means that you do it yourself or you buy the services from someone else. Well, you determined that the most expedient way for you to do it was for you to do it yourself.
Yes, sir.
Am I on track here?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, so now in doing that, you had to educate yourself to be able to do that because that wasn't something that you had experience or knowledge in doing. Am I correct here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we only talk to people who know what the hell they're talking about. So now, we created a need, we recognized a need, we fulfilled the need. But in the process of doing so, we recognized that we did not have certain skills or talents. So what we did is we educated ourselves. And as we always say on this show, there is SCORE, there's the SBA, there's the SBDC, and there is the Center for Women. They're all waiting to help you with whatever it is you need. Now, I don't know, were you familiar with any of those organizations as you was trying to publish your book?
Well, yeah, I went to the Small Business Administrator.
Okay.
And I have several contacts there.
Okay.
They actually sent me a marketing plan, and I got a small grant from them when Corona first started. And, so that worked out. And actually, I used the grant to fund the co-packer of the seasoning.
Okay, okay. So now, let's follow that thread. The co-packer. What is a co-packer?
So originally, I was making the seasoning in a professional kitchen. And in order for me to take it to the next level and to get into supermarkets and certain, and even certain vendors, they wanted it to be co-packer. So a co-packer is someone that makes your recipe, especially when it deals with food. They make it exactly how you would make it, except that they make it in large volumes so that you could sell it to, and basically they manufacture it for us. That way I take out, the time and the effort for me to make it. But with co-packers, normally you have to order a certain volume. So, we ordered like around close to 4,000 bottles. And that way we could spread it to all our vendors and it could be professional and, professionally sealed and everything. Grocery stores and other supermarkets, they want all their packages co-packed and insured. So with the co-packer, I did all of that in one package. They have the liability insurance already connected with it. And they make it, professionally, and I don't have to shake anymore.
Okay, now, y'all, listen here now. Listen here. What Mr. Campbell did was he immediately recognized that there was a sizable market for his product, a sizable market. Now, we're not talking about a small market. We're talking about a big market. He realized in order to satisfy that market, he needed to ramp up production of his product. Follow me now. In order to do that, he couldn't do that in his kitchen. He had to find someone known as a co-packer to be able to boost the production to the level he needed in order to be able to sell his products to more people. Now, here's what some of y'all gonna do. Some of y'all gonna think small, but see, that's thinking small is not what Mr. Campbell is about. He's thinking about how to build gigantic volumes and outlets in order to distribute his product. In order to do that, he had to go to what is known as a co-packer. Now, let's say you making some jeans or some shirts. Well, you would go to what is known as a contracting manufacturer. But he's not making products, he's making food products. Now, also, what he was explaining to you with the co-packer is that they meet health requirements. Because, see, folks ain't going to want to get sick going to the supermarket buying his products from you cooking it in your kitchen and your sanitation is not what it needs to be. Now, I'm not saying your kitchen is dirty. I'm just saying to ensure that there is not going to be any problem from people using your product, that it is in a highly sanitized and regulated kitchen. So this is why he chose a co-packer. Now, let's continue with this. Now, how did you decide who you wanted to distribute your product, where you wanted your products to be sold?
So I had a natural market, being already having vendors downtown, and basically I spread that market. Charleston is a very large tourist city, and most of the people come to learn about our culture. So who better than to present it than one of us? So basically, getting the co-packer and putting everything together. Once I went back to my vendors, I have a list of about 15 different vendors that I have it locally, and I my goal is to get one or two every week added to it, so that we could spread this all around South Carolina. Right now online, we have orders coming from basically all over the United States. I'm not sure exactly how people are hearing about us. Maybe on Facebook, because we do run some Facebook ads. And I'm thinking maybe it's the tourist that comes and buy the book, and later on they go back and buy the seasoning. So it's fun. I have a map at home that's full of dots that all the different places where people have ordered it. And I'm sure many restaurants have it, because some people they order like 5 or 10 bottles at one time. So I'm sure that's just not just for one person.
I'm sure it's not. Okay, now let me try to follow this, because like I say, I'm from Johns Island, and you know, I'm from Johns Island, and I'm slow. I'm not saying people out on Johns Island are slow, because see, then y'all gonna be as mad with me as I am for you thinking that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Daryl from Johns Island is real slow, and I just want to make sure I'm following this, because Mr. Campbell is like a high-speed rail. You know, I went to Hong Kong a couple of times, and when you land in the airport to get to downtown Hong Kong or Kowloon, I usually stay in Kowloon across the river from the city of Hong Kong, because it'd be less expensive and less crowded. But we ride a high-speed rail from the airport to downtown. And as you know, we're working on infrastructure bill, and the president's trying to get these senators to agree to do some infrastructure and build some high-speed rail. But what I'm saying is that Mr. Campbell is like a high-speed rail, and Darrell is like riding a donkey to get downtown. I just want to make sure that we all understand that the process that he used can be used by many of you out there to move your products and or your services. You just need to understand the technique, and applying the techniques will get you to where he is. So now, tell me about finding distributors, or as you calling them, vendors. How did you go about that process?
Yeah, well, I found that in person is the best way. So I would go on, I would find the right time when they're not as busy, like in the morning when they're just packing, and I would just talk to them and say, hey, I'm a local vendor from Charleston, and I have a couple products that you may be interested in, and normally give them a sample, or I'll write a letter or send an email once I find out the contact person. The main thing is for local vendors, like if you go on the market, you could find the contact person. Normally the person who's working there is the buyer. But if you go to like a grocery store, you have to find out the person who is the buyer, and then contact them, send them letters. I have a couple of grocery stores, but the thing is that they're waiting until the beginning of the year before they make the purchase, because that's when they make the purchases. But I have 5 different grocery stores, you know, Food Lion, Harris Teeter, and a couple of other ones that are interested in the product, but they can't buy anything until their fiscal year starts back over, which is in December. So I'll be contacting them, sending them more letters and sending them more products. And once I get into a local grocery store, I'm planning on expanding even more by maybe getting a billboard and some other local commercials ran.
Okay. Now, if I understand correctly, we're saying that if it's locally and individually owned, you can speak directly with the person that's doing the buying.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And that's how I got my first 4 or 5 spots.
But when we talk about a company that has many locations and they are not locally owned, they have to send or submit to corporate. All of the buying decisions are made at the corporations, not made at the local. This is why Mr. Campbell is telling you that if you're dealing with the local guys, you can walk up on them. He also told you that try to find a time when they can take the time to talk to you. Don't go during the height of the business day and get upset because they say no, they can't talk to you. You got to understand, they're trying to make their money. So you've got to determine what is the best time when they are the least busy so they can take some time out to hear what you have to say. Now, also, how did you dress when you went to sell your products? Was you sagging? Did you have on a toe-down jeans? Was you looking like you had just got out of bed? Explain to people how you got to look professional when you go. Tell them.
Yes, you have to be professional because you want them to take you seriously, because honestly, they probably wouldn't. I would wear a polo or either a button-down shirt, and you know, if I have an appointment, you know, I would be there on time or a little bit before time, and just, you know, keep in your mind that you're going there to be successful. So you have to dress the part, you have to act the part, you have to look the part, and you know, sometimes you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So I would, you know, advise everyone to be on the A game when they want to make a sale.
Okay, all right. Now, that brings us to the point where I ask people the embarrassing question. So, can I ask you the embarrassing question here?
Sure, according to what it is, but let's see.
According to what it is. Oh, we got to preface it. Okay, I understand. Well, when I taught small business and tried it for about 18 years.
Oh, wow.
I found out through reading the books that there are a number of ways in which people finance their business. It's either family money, it's loans, credit cards, it's grants. Now, you kind of told us, but I want you to tell us again, what was your source of startup capital for your business?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yes. Got a small loan from my mother years and years ago when I was producing my first publication. And throughout the years, I've gathered, you know, some thousands of dollars worth of grants that also helped the business float. And it's a lot of personal money, a lot of personal time. You have to believe in what you're doing. And, you know, if you believe in what you're doing, the money will show up. And that's the model I was, you know, living, whether it's coming from family members, coming from grants. I don't really like to borrow money, but I do have one small loan that got from the small business, through the Small Business Administration. And I put all that money to use. You know, once you get a grant or a loan, you really have to fulfill the needs of the financial needs of the business and not, you know, wasted on vacation or whatever else. If you believe in the business is like a child of yours and you have to nourish it from the beginning, especially just to keep it going. And, you know, I want to get my businesses to a place where it becomes self-sufficient, meaning running on itself and making money while I'm sleeping.
Right, all right, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I could keep asking and he could keep answering, but I don't think we ought to do that. I think Mr. Campbell has given us enough for us to really think and focus on. And if you're really serious about starting a business, I would say Mr. Campbell has kind of mapped out a roadmap for you to begin to take. Now, before we leave, Mr. Campbell, two things. One, how do we contact you? And two, can we get you to come back and talk about your other businesses?
Of course. Yeah, so you can contact us through the website that he had at the beginning of the show, www.palmettoblend.com. palmettoblend.com, palmettoblend.com. Or you could also visit one of our vendor spots. It's all over the city. If I have a minute, I can name a couple of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's at the Charleston City Market. I have 3 different vendors selling it right there on Market Street. It's at the Visitor Center, Mount Pleasant Pier, Charlestown Landing, Middleton Place, Magnolia Gardens, James Island Campground, McLeod Plantation right here at James Island. And they're one of our best business partners. It's at the Latson Flea Market, the Dollar Mart, and Family Seafood Market, and Blackstone Restaurant in North Charleston.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Well, is there anything that you want to tell the public that we have not discussed before we let you go and make some more money?
Well, I just want to say that I want to really thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate that. And we need more gentlemen like him, spreading the good news. Being a business owner could be challenging, but it's also very, very rewarding. Once you get to a certain point, you actually have freedoms that you would never experience working for someone. Your money could actually become limitless, so you won't be stuck to a paycheck weekly to weekly. And I, encourage anyone with any kind of background that has a product or a service or even bought a product to resell, to get into it. And one sale is all you need to start. And once you make that sale, just duplicate that 1,000,000 times, and you're there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you heard it from somebody who know what the hell they're talking about. So on that note, cousin, take us out of here.